Hi, it's Susan. My channel is Seaside Stitches and I'm just coming on to say hi. I'm going to be doing a vlog shortly, but we've just decided while it's still not raining, we're going to go out for a little while. So we'll be coming back to have a chat with you. But my main thoughts are to tidy my sewing. It's always my tidy my sewing room, but I created a bit of a mess on Tuesday before I got ready for the sewing social. As I got ready for the sewing social. So before I bring everything back in, I want to tidy up what I got out before then, and especially on the morning of the social, because I thought I'm going to take an alternative mind-numbing thing to do, which was great because I just made fabric out of some bits and pieces, not like quilting, proper patchwork. I'll show you in a bit of what I managed to achieve. It was only a little bit of thing, but never mind. So I'll see you in a bit. And one of my main thoughts this week is to try and sort out this fit from the, I'm going to call it a Davenport dress, Camden Pinafore, the Nina Lee Camden Pinafore. It is very baggy at the back. I don't particularly use it a lot, but if I get it if I get the pattern itself with the better fit, then I can move on and make some more. Hello again. Let's move that one over. Hi, it's me again, Susan at Seaside Stitches, and thank you for watching. I'm wearing my Billy sweater, Billy top, Billy jumper, whatever you want to call it, and we've just been out and the sun has actually come out and it's really nice now, even though it's kind of 4:30 nearly. Right, so I just wanted to kind of give you a quick update on Friday sews. So happy Friday sews. Thank you to Jen in Today in Jen's Sewing Room for setting up this hashtag. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been on, but I've had a really lovely time since then. Done a bit of sewing here and a bit of sewing there. I've also totally finished something that had been a Frugal Frocks Sew Frugal 23. I finished this. Finally, well, I'd already finished it, but the sleeves were too long, so I managed to put the cuffs back on the sleeves. They're all rough at the moment. I've not tidied that up yet. And then when I had done that, I realised that actually this sleeve is massively big. It's just weirdly shaped. And so when I look back at my pattern, I had done, I think, the 42, the size 40 with the back and front, and a size 44 for the sleeve. And I know I have biceps issues, and I don't know why I did that much of an excess. And so in order to take a little bit of the length off again, because I don't want to undo all this thingamabob, I realised it's still too long, so I am going to take off some from the top. So I took that part apart. I have trimmed down the shoulder bit as well, just by less than ½ an inch, so that the gather will come in the right place. And also I have decided just to take this back a little bit and open it out and cut it down to a size 40. So this will be right when I've finished it. And I'm glad it will be right when I've finished it, because it could be, you never know, it could be one of the free patterns that I have that I'm going to make again for Sew Frugal 24. But I need to find out about that a little bit later, because I am now on the vlogging tour and I'm very pleased to be on the vlogging tour. So I'll be seeing you again about that, or about other things that are Sew Frugal on the 15th of March, I think I'm on. So I'm sharing the day with 2 others. So I'll update you with all what's going on about that then. I'm just going to pick this up off the floor, just because I dropped it and it has to have a conclusion. The other thing I've been doing is making a big thorough search of patterns and fabrics that I want to make up in terms of outfits. And I love doing the challenge, the Sew Frugal challenge, but I don't make things only because it's the challenge. I make things that I want and I need, but also there is the added kind of prompt to make sure I'm doing it frugally. So again, I'll speak about that another time, but I've really had a good idea about what I'd like to wear, what I like to make, what I'd like to pair that with in terms of fabric, but also if I made another make, I'd like that to go with one of the makes. I hope that makes sense, but really if you've not caught on with it doesn't matter. I'll talk about it properly in another time. The main thing I need to do again, and I know I say it all the time, but I never quite get round to it in the fullness of my need of it, and that is to make sure things fit me properly. Now I have put in another little video a snippet of me wearing this Camden pinafore by Nina Lee, the Camden pinafore pattern, and I ended up making all sorts of adjustments to when I made it initially, when it didn't fit me, and then I made it bigger, and then lots of things happened, and it's still not quite the best fit it could be front wise or side wise, but it's okay to wear. But the thing that happens at the moment is this sticks out quite a lot, and I have demonstrated that on another video which I won't bore you with at this point. But I had to look at, okay, so like the blue blouse that I keep taking apart, the 6707, I've stuck it apart in several different ways. I've put the collar back on, I've altered the size, I've put the collar back on, I bought new buttons for it, I've done that, and since then I'm also still losing a few inches, only centimetre, well, half inches if you like, but my shape is changing again, so I'm not going to alter it again. But in the fact that I am kind of not, I don't know, obsessively diligent or something, if I've got something and it doesn't fit me, I want to make it fit me, or what's the point really? So I did consider that I would take this out and alter this, take the binding off, put this piece right, take this, I'm not taking the zip out, I just work back from there really. But it's got it's princess seams, and it's princess seams at the back, and I know that I made it a size too big than I needed it, and there's excess here, and also it's far too much for me to just take a little nip in as it is. So I want to alter the pattern of it, but why get stuck on just keep altering a garment when I don't alter the pattern? So that's what's come to me really, is in getting something ready for the Sewing Social recently, I took the Camden pinafore pattern with me just to have a look at focusing on where the difficulties are in terms of the fit. And I was delighted to find out that I have not damaged this pattern at all. I did trace it, one of the rare events where I traced the pattern. But what's happened is I have altered the tracings, I have made several more different ones, and I've ended up with this absolute mess of changes here, changes there. If I've got changes, they're everywhere. So I need to just consolidate all my efforts and get to grips with what I really need to do. And because I did a low bust adjustment, I did a large bust a full bust adjustment, and I did and then all I did was ignore that and then cut out a 16 with no adjustments. So all that was rubbish really, and so I need to start again by doing a very clear new tracing of the pattern as it is, and then work out with the knowledge that I have now 2 years later from when I started it on how to actually change the fit of this garment. And what I have is I do have this to take parts of it apart to make sure I'm getting it right, if that makes any sense at all. So this is not precious to me, too precious to me to take apart, but it's also precious enough that I don't just want to bin, I wouldn't bin it anyway, but I don't just want to discard it and start again. I want to get a happy medium, but I also want to be making another one, but I want to get it right this time. So I hope that makes sense. And another thing I want to do is get back to making this other Camden skirt that I have massivized the pockets. That's a Susan phrase. I've massivized these pockets, and they're still not quite right. So Also, I've made this in a bigger size, and I haven't got any further with it because I got stuck in, when I joined it together, my shape was changing and I just did not know where I'm going to end up with it. And so I put it to one side. And also I had put the front and the back to the sides. Okay, so then what I'm going to do now, because that then committed me to this side seam, and I didn't really want to be committed to that. So what I've decided now is that I'm going to make the back. I shall sew up the back, insert the zip, and then I've got the back, and then I've got the front, and then I can decide, putting them together, which is the best fit. Do I need to alter anything kind of just above the waist, because I come in quite a lot at the waist, but if I come in too much, I've got too much of a and so I just need to get on with that. It's not a rush, but I want to do it because I don't want it sitting about. I want it done, and then I can work out if I'm going to add the top of the waist of the pinafore, which I don't think I will. Once I've put the zip in, I'm committed to the skirt. I could alter it, but or whether I'm going to make another skirt like this one, or whether I'm going to make a different skirt altogether, because at the moment I'm wearing a charity shop skirt, which fits me beautifully at the moment. It hardly went anywhere near me, or would fit me, but the waist was up here, if you know what I mean, because it couldn't come any further down. But at the moment it's really fitting well, and I just love this style. And it's got a zip at the back, and what it's short of, to me, I'm not going to put any on, it needs a couple of pockets so that I can shove my hands in and just pull it down, because it's got a part elasticated waist just at the sides. So you get that neat finish at the front, but it just rides up a little bit, and I put my hands in my pockets and bring it to where I want it. And then it slightly rides up. It's a stretch denim, but it's a really good weight. I like it. I'd like to make something like this in a weight like this one. So this one is, I just feel good in it. It's kind of quite hip huggy, and I like this kind of pocket now. So I think I've examined it, and I think I've worked out how you make that, and I may try that with the Sadie skirt that I've got from the dressmaker's closet. But I'm not starting anything else until, I don't mean I'm not starting anything else until I've completed all my unfinished objects. I need to be a bit further on with my fitting issues, because if I'm not, I just keep making the same mistakes. So what I did do is, I have said I would talk to you about the cashmerette Grafton dress, skirt, top, all sorts of things, different necklines, different collars, different skirts, different sleeves, different fit tops. What I have done is, on filling out their questionnaire on their site, of what are my measurements, my upper bust, my full bust, my waist, my hips, I'm guided to start with a 10 because of this shallowness here. A 10, and then grade out to a 12. No, a 10, and then by the time I get to the waist, I've got to work out the cup size. So if I do a CD with it, which I've tried, with the 10, and that fits me okay, then I don't need to grade out to a 12 until I get to the midriff or to the waist, if you understand what I mean. So I did do that, and I have a photograph of that, which I'm not sure if I've already put in, but if I can find it while I'm doing this video, I will pop it in. But I am doing a full thing about this cashmerette thing, about the Grafton, but not just yet, because I'm still working towards how I'm going to do it. So I did do it with the CD cup. I really loved the closeness of the fit here, and the sleeves were okay as well, so I didn't need to do an extra biceps adjustment. I just used the sleeves as they were. I made it in a relatively stable cotton jersey, lycra cotton jersey, a little Johnny fabric with crayons all over it, and what I found was it's just slightly pressured over my bust. so it doesn't give me the best shape over my bust. And in contrast, I'd made a Nico top, and that one, it was different fabric though, because it was much thinner fabric, the one I did for the Nico, and that one gives me a better shape over the bust. So anyway, what I decided to do was move up a cup size, and so this is, I haven't cut out my size yet, but this is the pattern piece for the EF, I think it is. Now, normally in a me made, I wouldn't go up to an EF. My actual bra size is double E or F. I know that they are not comparable with what you're making size, and so I wouldn't go up to that much, but in comparison to a size 10 in a CD cup, I need to try the EF. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to cut this one out in another relatively stable. This is what I mean by I'm going to tell you about it another time, really, because there's quite a lot of things involved in it. But at the moment, this is out of its packet, ready for me to try to start to make that up. And so that's all I'm telling you, really. And then I'll report back on how that goes and whether that's too much or whether I can just let out the one that I've done that's the CD cup. So that's what I'm doing. I'm playing about trying to get the best fit. So that's that. And it's just kind of, I'm doing a lot of thinking, as you can probably hear. And so that doesn't yet translate into a lot of sewing, but that's fine for me. I've also got this that I got last year sometime. I want to make a decision about what I will use to make this, which pattern I will use, because this for me is going to be to bring attention to Sew Yellow for Endo, which will also be coming in March, which will be it's run by Jess at Sew What If I Sew, and I'll give you more details about that nearer the time. But I've also been accepted onto their vloggers tour as well, so I'm very, very pleased with that, because I really support their ethos and Jess's determination to get endometriosis on the general forum for chatting about and people understanding what endometriosis is. So why not do it with a bright colour and draw attention to it in the yellow colour, which represents endo. Let's get an end to endo. Okay, so that's that. I'm looking into to make sure I've got something that goes with other things, and one of the other things could be this, that has nothing to do with endo. This is just the extra fabric that I got that I was using for the Orage, yes, O-R-A-G-E, and yes, the Orage dress that I made. The top, I made a top with an eye opening, and I wanted to make a skirt to go with it. I was going to make a dress out of it, and then I liked it as a top, so I want to make a skirt. And I've discovered that the Grafton skirt might be, I'm pondering over the Grafton skirt, that might be a solution to make a skirt that I can wear the top, the Orgave top over, and like a faux dress, or I could use this paired with other things to make just a coordinating set. So that's also on my list. It's not really a list, you know, these are in my thought processes, and I'm not making any firm lists about anything, because the main thing I want to do, rather than create and produce, is to get the fit right on so many things. So I think I'm going to finish that. Oh, this is the blue blouse that I mentioned that I have been working on over and over. I put darts in the back, I even put a seam up the back, I put darts in the front. I've changed the buttons because I was using wooden buttons and they were eroding the buttonhole stitches. They were quite rough. I wasn't aware of it, at the time, but I managed to get these lovely buttons from John Lewis when we went to celebrate Alan's birthday at the Trafford Centre in Manchester, and I nipped into John Lewis and I escaped with only spending £3 on 6 buttons. And apart from buying some Gaviscon, I thought that's all we bought on a trip to the Gaviscon, to the Trafford Centre, so very pleased about that. Yes, so I've got some little fiddling about to do with cutting back some of this, the facings, and just really replacing some of the overstitching that make the faux kind of button placket thing. So that I had to take out so that I could get to all the bits and pieces and take the collar off. So that is just needing the kind of bits and pieces titivating. And then next time I can share what I'm actually working on currently and what bits of things I have to do to finish things off. I don't know if that's making any sense, but I felt really down. The last couple of vlogs I've been a bit kind of low in spirit, low in kind of energy, and I've started to come out of my hermitness, and I've managed to meet up with a friend. I managed to meet up with someone that I met in a fabric shop who knew me from my channel. We chatted and we got on really well just in the shop talking about sewing. She suggested could we meet, so we met up a few weeks later and we had a lovely session in a garden centre chit-chatting about all sorts of alterations and fitting adjustments and fabrics and histories of our sewing, what experiences and fabric selling and all sorts of things that we had in common. That who would have known that anyway? And that spurred me on. I felt so good about that. I thought someone had contacted me around Christmas and said, "Can we meet up? I'd love to catch up with you." We tried to do it last year. We didn't manage it, and she'd even given me a number again as if like, "Do you know, Susan? I think you may have lost my number because it's a long time since I heard from you." And I was getting round to getting back in touch, but I was kind of not reluctant in any kind of I don't want to do this, but not knowing, I'm just not feeling kind of knowing whether I would be up for it on the day. Anyway, with this bouncing off this kind of really lovely chat that I'd had with, with Sandra, that I'd met in the shop, that was really good. So I thought, yeah, having company is really good. So I decided that I would contact Barbara, she's called. I thought I would contact Barbara, and we arranged to meet the following Tuesday after I'd seen Sandra on the Tuesday. I saw Barbara the following Tuesday, and we spent 5 hours catching up with all sorts of things that didn't really include sewing, but all her intentions to do crafting and using a Cricut machine and all the preparations for that kind of hadn't materialised as she'd expected. So we had a lot of bits and pieces about crafting and sewing and things like that, but it wasn't focused on that. It was a catch up and families and all sorts of things. So we had a really good time, and we said we must do it again. And I said, well, I've been quite a hermit really recently. And she said, well, you're not a hermit anymore. You're not going to be a hermit anymore. And so we've arranged to go again in a fortnight. So that was good. And then went to a sewing social at Clayton and Moore's, the Northwest Sewing Social, and that was excellent. There was buzzing with activity. There were about 4 or 5, I think, new people there, new to me anyway. And also I feel like I'm getting to know some of the others that had been there before, and it was just really kind of lively and busy and bustling. And Christine was there helping people who haven't sewn much or just needed a little hand about this or that, or cutting out patterns and stuff like that. And my lovely friend Shirley sort of said, "Am I all right, Susan? Can you put up with me again? I mean, we have this thing." I said, well, we're doing a mutually putting up with each other, and I'm fine with that if you're fine with that. So yeah, we just had a little laugh, and it's just just nice, isn't it? But I didn't take anything very taxing. I just took the recital pattern to cut out the actual pieces. I'd cut round them, but I hadn't cut the actual pieces out because I hadn't completely decided on the size I was making. So I just cut them out of the paper. I didn't cut them out of the fabric, although I'd taken the fabric with me. But what I did do is, where is it? I have to find that and just bring it up in a minute. This By Annie open wide bag is just made, if you've been with me a while you'll know, but it's made from pieces of fabric that were left over from a dress that I made from this fabric. But I haven't done it as a proper patchwork pattern or anything, because I just wanted to see how much fabric I could make out of what was left. However willy-nilly it turned out, and upside down and sideways and on grain and off grain, and some pieces were slivers, some were joined together 3 times, but it just is a lovely lively bag, and I use it quite a lot, especially for the sewing socials. I take all my stuff in it, a lot of my stuff, and it's got separate pockets inside, and it's just quite cheery, and quite a lot of people have sort of, admired it, and it's brightened them and cheered them up. So I thought, and I'd been doing this big declutter, and I found I had a few more pieces than I thought I had. So what I decided to do was, as a rush in the morning before I set off to the social, I gathered all the ones that I'd already cut, trimmed down from wiggly bits, and pressed. So I thought I'll take those and just get going on just making up some more fabric. And that's all I did all day. And I only came back with a piece about this big, but I chatted, and I got to know more people, and I quite enjoyed myself just attaching bits and pieces and free flowing, really. It was a simple day, and like I said, I'm not all about having to churn out loads of garments or this production line thing. I don't do that. I don't work like that, and I don't have a great need to have something to show for my day. I'm trying much more to kind of live from the heart rather than being driven from my head. So it just went really well, and I enjoyed that, and I just enjoyed the company, and it was good. So I'm not a hermit anymore, not just yet. So I'll just see if I can find the actual packet that I've got these in. Okay, so it's just in this bag. I'd made this initially for my drumsticks, and I don't mean chicken drumsticks, I did used to drum, and also to see if it would be any good to make another one for someone for a raffle within our drumming group. I didn't get round to making another one for the raffle, but it is perfect for holding this when I go to socials, so that's great. And in here I've got my bits and pieces that I took, and I like to keep my foot and my electric lead, power lead, separately now, so that they don't get pulled around and damaged, and I don't wind one around the other, because I loosened the cable in my previous one, and I'm being more careful in this one. So what I have is, I also have some pieces of fabric that were from a dress that before I had my channel, took apart the dress because I wanted to make a peplum. In fact, I tried to alter the dress. It was just fitted to the waist and then out. It was a bought dress. I bought 3 at the same time, one in the black with white spot, one that's kind of rainbow coloured that I wore a lot, haven't been able to get into. And I'm so pleased I didn't take it apart for the last year's October or sometime recycle challenge, because I was going to take it apart because I thought that's never going to go on me again. But I fit into it now. So I'm really pleased I've got that. We'll show you that another time. But I also bought one it's a white background with bright yellow and black flowers on it. Bright yellow flowers and black kind of twigs and things on it. But this was never long enough. I don't know why out of the three they were different lengths, but this one was never quite long enough, and I was always a bit conscious of it being a bit up at the back, only like about an inch higher at the back above my knees, and it never felt right. So I decided I would fiddle about with it, and I did a bit of a makeover type thing that they do on the sewing bee now. I kind of put it on the mannequin and chopped bits off. I pinned it, and I had all sorts of folds and pleats, and I've never actually done anything with it. I did get brave enough to cut off a lot of the pieces, but I've never got round to just having the right, whatever it is, shape to do the hem, and it just sits up there on a hook. And that's done for a long time, and because this would then not fit me, because it's all pinned up, I haven't tried whether the bodice fits me on this one, and whether I'd ever make it now anyway, I don't know, but we're talking, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago. So what I did do is find the fabric that I had taken off, and I've cut that into various just straight line pieces. So I've got a few pieces that I'd found that I do have that's that fabric, and then the other is the only thing I've got left after yesterday, apart from what I've just knocked on the floor, are these smaller pieces of this fabric that I've just shown you. And then, well, these will still make more fabric. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm just joining them together. Making fabric is what I call it. And that's those. Straighten those after. And then what I did was, and then I make kind of blocks so that I've got enough to join. A block that size. And then I'd made another block, kind of block to put onto there. And yesterday when we were leaving, I was just ready to sew that back on, sew that one on, and then press it, trim it, and trim that one. And I can't remember what I was doing. Oh, trimming, and then trim those off, and then they can be added to another bit. It doesn't really make sense, but what I'm going to end up with is maybe enough for another small bag. But even if I'm not, I'll make something with it. But it's just as, I find it a joyous pattern, really, and the colours are lovely. So there we go. And that's all I did at the Sewing Social, apart from make some decisions about which I've just shared with you. I thought this would be like a 10-15 minute video, and I'm going on and on, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to say I hope you have a lovely time sewing this week. I intend to have a lovely time catching up with all the things I want to do in terms of fitting. So anyway, I'm sorry if I'm too confusing, but I do appreciate that you've been with me and are listening or watching, and my views have been just tremendous in the last year. My views have been tremendous, and my subscribers, I'm so pleased, and I offer you some love for the rest of the time, and I hope you get some lovely sewing time in. So thank you ever so much for watching. Thanks for being with me, and if you've got any feedback for me, please leave me a comment. I'd really appreciate it. If you do feel that you'd like to subscribe, then that's awesome, and if you give me a like or share it, that's awesome too. So thanks ever so much. I've been Susan at Seaside Stitches. That's because I live just 3 minutes walk from the sea. Bye for now. See you soon.